What? Yeah, go ahead. Hello, everybody. It's 9 o'clock Tuesday night. Guess where we all are? We're in my office. Welcome to Pam I Am, the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about our favorite 80s. No, sorry, not 80s. Well, it's my 80s, but our favorite TV shows. And the reason I was thinking about doing the podcast about the 80s today, or I keep saying the 80s because that's all I'm thinking about, is because when the other day, and this is going to be, for those of you who know this, and I don't know if we have anybody with us yet, but hopefully we do. Thanks for joining me. I'm Pam I Am. Anyway, we're here every Tuesday night at 9, and so the other day I was talking to my daughter, and we were trying to figure out what we were going to eat for dinner, and we're like, what do you want for dinner? And we were thinking back and forth what we're going to have, and then I said, maybe some pork chops and applesauce. And then, like, the minute I said it, it's just like, oh, like, whoosh, it took me back. Does anybody know what that's from? If you know what that's from, you grew up in the 80s. Or actually, you might have grown up in the 70s, too. But, I'm from the 80s. So, and when I said it and I asked my husband about it, he started laughing. And so we both knew exactly what we were talking about. Because we were going to have pork chops and applesauce. So, if you know what that's from, chime in. You can always call me and we can go live. You can actually call me live right now if you want to. The number is 507-4000-PAM. If you don't want to go live, you can leave a message, but I'll probably answer. Anyway, and so we're going to talk about our favorite TV shows. And the thing about me is I kind of grew up watching television. That was my life. Like, I wasn't a big book reader. I'm literate. I can read. I'm not a huge book reader. You know, one time someone asked me, like, who's your favorite author? I'm like, I'm not a big book reader. I know it sounds terrible. And I know there's so many people that are like, oh, there's so many good books. And I know there are. My degree is in television. That's like what I got a college degree in. So, Emily, do we have some visitors?
Yes. Okay, we have 13 viewers.
13 viewers!
Trina says, hi,
Hi,
Scott
Trina.
and I are watching. Susie says Brady Bunch.
Pork chops and applesauce. It was Peter Brady. He was trying to do his best Humphrey Bogart impersonation. So thank you for that. And yeah, and then we watched it on YouTube, and it was like, it just took me back because it was like, oh, Carol and Mike, and then, their cook, oh my gosh, I totally lost Alice, and, it was just, oh, it just brought me back. And even just looking at their living room, it's like, that's the living room I grew up in. Not really, but it was, Yeah, what's up?
Okay. And then Kelsey says, Pam I Am. I love that.
Oh, one of my viewers actually helped me come up with it. I'm not that smart. So thank you for whoever it was that came up with it. I think it was Tara that actually helped me come up with that. Anyway. That was it. Okay. So I want you to chime in and tell me what your favorite 80s. Oh, I keep saying 80s because that's when I grew up. Your favorite television shows growing up. Emily, do you have a favorite television show when you grew up? You're young still, but do you have a favorite television show?
I like The Flash.
The Flash. Oh yeah, she watches The Flash. The problem with me is I watched so much television that it's like I had favorite television shows at different times. So all growing up. What's up?
Melinda says, hey girl, love your vest.
Thank you. It's fuzzy. I've had this vest forever. Like, I wore this in Vegas like 6 years ago. I used it for a photo shoot, for like an Indian photo shoot. This vest is, it's like Renaissance vest. It goes with everything. Renaissance Man is kind of like that's another movie. Renaissance Man, it's like this, it's somebody who can do lots of different things. And they're good at lots of different, this vest is good at a lot of different things. So thank you. Yes. One of my daughters was like, you look too Christmassy. You don't even match. But I'm like, I don't care. I literally sat down 5 minutes ago and like turned the light on and go, we're on, because I was in a hurry. But I'm happy to be here because I really love doing my podcast and getting to talk to all my friends. So anyway, I was saying, I have so many different shows that I love. So I was scrolling through online and looking at some shows from when I grew up. I basically just Googled 80s shows, and Mork and Mindy popped up. I'm like, I loved Mork and Mindy. So I thought that was one fun one. I'm going to scroll just a little bit, and it just brings me. And like, okay, they have Miami Vice, which is so different than the movie. Okay, the movie was nothing like, Don Johnson, and I forgot the other guy's name, Crockett and Tubbs. it was like Crockett and Tubbs. They were the coolest. I wore no socks today just for that. No, that's really not why I wore no socks. I literally just didn't have time to put socks on. But, you know, Sonny Crockett, he never wore socks. He was just like that cool Miami Vice. I didn't watch Mama's Family. I know a lot of people did. But somebody also mentioned some other show. I can't remember what it was. But there's a couple that I was like, yeah, I wasn't really into it. But let me go over the list because I have a list of a few that some people mentioned, and then I'll talk about some of my favorite. But if you're watching, please type in your favorite shows from when you were a kid because that's what we're talking about today. So Trina wrote on here, Wonder Woman. You know, I didn't really watch Wonder Woman. It's kind of like The Flash, right? That's the Wonder Woman was like was it 70s, 80s, late 70s, maybe early 80s. That was kind of like The Flash for back then, right? $6 Million Man. Now I watched that. I had a huge crush. Was it Lee Horsley? I think I had such a crush on him. Even when he got older, I still had a crush on him. Bionic Woman. I didn't really watch that. Gilligan's Island was like the show. I watched almost every episode of that until the very end when they finally got off the island, and then it was like, but I really loved it. Dukes of Hazzard. I actually didn't watch it too much. Like I watched enough to know what was going on, but it wasn't like my show. Yes.
Kelsey Walker says Lizzie McGuire.
Lizzie McGuire, that's more like 2000s. Kelsey's a young one. So I think that was 2000s or 90s. No, it's probably 2000s. Did you watch Lizzie McGuire ever?
I watched the movie, but not the show.
The show? Okay. All right, Lizzie McGuire, that's one. MASH was a little before my time. Hee Haw, I did watch some of that. Benny Hill, my dad watched that. We all know why, too. And let's see, we'll go on to that. Let's see, Ultraman? Wow, I don't remember Ultraman. Gilligan's Island. Okay, Magnum PI. Let's talk about Magnum PI for just a minute here, okay? Because I liked some Thomas Magnum. Now, I can't remember if I watched them when they came on or if I watched them as reruns. I don't remember. But the funny thing, and I just love Thomas Magnum, but it was so funny how they had all those, like, not crime, but it was, like, detective. No, it wasn't detective. It was a secret. No, what do they call him? Like, he's a private investigator, right? But, like, Simon and Simon were they private investigators? And there was another one that was private. It was, like, a big thing in the 80s, like, private investigators. So, but I liked Simon and Simon, and I love Magnum PI. So, Magnum PI, fun fact, if you ever watch it, you probably already know this, but when he had that Ferrari in Hawaii, and he never would put the top down on the Ferrari because his head was too big. He couldn't put the top down. That's, like, literally why they never put the top. Not because it was like sunny Hawaii and it's like really great and the weather's so nice. No, it's because he literally could not fit in the Ferrari. Hey, one viewer from YouTube, how are you doing? It's probably Scott, but whatever. I'm so glad someone's watching on YouTube. Totally makes it worth it that I set up my YouTube camera. What do you got, Emily?
3 now. Okay, Susie says Ultraman on Saturday morning.
Ultraman on Saturday morning.
Cindy says 77 Sunset Strip.
Whoa, when is that? I don't know what that. I've never even heard of that one. Not sure.
And Gina says Greatest American Hero.
Oh,
2.
Greatest American Hero. He was the best. Like he would fly. It was the best. Oh my gosh, I loved it. He had like red hair that was was it blonde? And it was like curly, super curly. And he would fly. But the funny thing is he couldn't land. He didn't know how to land. So he would fly like really crazy. It was like from the 80s, so it would be like this. And then he would land and he would just like fall over every time. Like he never learned how to land. It was so great. I loved Greatest American Hero. I was gonna say something else about something. Oh, so somebody mentioned about watching cartoons in the morning. Did you know, Emily, or other young ones, maybe Kelsey or anybody who's younger that's watching, back in my day, the only time that you could watch cartoons was Saturday mornings. Like, they might have had a cartoon after school, maybe. It was usually like after school special kind of shows, like regular TV shows that were like, had a meaning. But Saturday morning, like, you would get up, and I'm not a morning person still, but you would get up in the morning on Saturday just to watch your cartoons because like He-Man came on and She-Ra and I'm trying to think about Care Bears and later on like the Snorks and all your favorite cartoons, they would come on Saturday morning. You didn't have like Nickelodeon and Disney Channel and all like 100 different channels like you had now. You had Saturday morning TV and that was it. Okay, what's up?
I just remembered the Snorks.
Do you love the Snorks? I love the Snorks. You watched reruns of the Snorks, yeah.
Barry said BJ and the Bear?
BJ and the Bear. That sounds familiar, but I don't know if I remember it completely. Was that the only one?
Yes.
The channel? Okay. Oh, yes.
Giving you how many there are.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Emily. She's giving me some hand signals. So Magnum PI, I loved it. Now, Joy wrote Days of Our Lives. I never got into soap operas. I was not a soap person. But my sisters were. They loved soaps. Somebody wrote MASH, which I did watch some of that on reruns, but I wasn't a huge MASH. Like I said, Mama's Family, not a big fan. And she wrote Petticoat Junction. I've heard of it, but I never watched it. This is so funny. Like, everybody has different ideas. Yes.
In my day, they were only Flintstones and Looney Tunes.
Flintstones and Looney Tunes. And Looney Tunes are different. Like, we watched, what was it that we watched the other day? And the cartoon was so different than it was when I grew up.
There's a lot of them. Like, they changed Scooby-Doo. They changed Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry now sucks.
Language! No, but yeah, they
changed a
like, the
lot.
animators changed and the humor changed. And I can't remember, my husband and I, we were watching some cartoon. I can't remember. But it was a cartoon from when we were kids. But it's like they changed the animation. It just looked weird. It wasn't the same. But yeah, Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry and the Flintstones.
Ooh, the Jetsons.
The Jetsons. Oh, here is Elroy. Do. Okay, that's what I could go into cartoons. I promise you, like, I watched way too much TV. But it's funny because I got my degree in television, so maybe it's okay. Like, maybe that's why I watch television. Yes, Emily.
Barry said, did you ever get sick and stay home and watch The Price is Right?
Oh yeah. I would skip school sometimes, but not for Price is Right. But I would skip school sometimes and stay home and watch TV. And yeah, Price is Right was definitely my go-to. We still watch Price is Right because I really like what's his name, Drew Carey. He does all right. But yeah, I did like it. I was never good at it though. Price is Right, and you know why? Because I'm a Goodwill shopper. Other than the vest, this whole outfit's from Goodwill. So, well, not the shoes, just the pants and the shirts. Anyway, I'm a Goodwill shopper, so I don't get prices. So when they had, like, these prices things, I'm like, at a yard sale, that would be, like, $5. But, so I always would get it wrong. So I was never good at it, but I did like watching it. And I liked Wheel of Fortune, and I liked, on Price is Right, my favorite game was Blinko. Do you remember the Blinko one where they would have, like, the thing and it would go bloop, 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 bloop. Anyway, that was my favorite game. Someone put Urkel on here, so... Family Matters, that was a good show. Let's see. She said, got any cheese? Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So we're getting more into like 90s and 2000s, I think. Facts of Life. Let me tell you. And see, and I don't know if you guys realize this. This whole podcast is not scripted. This is just me blabbing all my, like I'm just blah, 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 blah. You know me, I like to talk too much. But Facts of Life. That was my first encounter with George Clooney. And I loved George Clooney on Facts of Life, okay? He was the carpenter that came in to fix up the shop after the fire. I think they had a fire or something. I love George Clooney. And then George Clooney went on to these other shows. He was Booker on Roseanne, and he had this one show where he was like a detective or something. He had all these shows. And then he got on ER, and then all of a sudden, everybody in the whole world loved George Clooney. But I loved him when he was on Facts of Life. So there you go. What, Emily?
Cindy says it was Warner Brothers detective shows in the 50s and 60s.
Okay. The one that I mentioned earlier that I didn't remember what it was. Okay. I think it was Petticoat Junction? I can't remember now. It was one that I mentioned earlier. Dukes of Hazzard, Days of Our Lives, Hee Haw. Cosby Show. I hate to admit it with everything going on right now, but I did love Cosby Show. I really did. It was a good show. Regardless of what's happening now, Cosby Show was a great show. Family Ties. Oh my gosh. Oh, was it Alex Keaton? Oh, I loved Alex P. Keaton. He was so dreamy. Even though he was kind of a jerk to his sisters, I just really liked him. And I always wished I was in that family because they had a mom and a dad and they were so nice and everybody got along so well. No, they argued, but they still at the end of the day they would all hug and everybody was happy. And oh man, maybe that's why I watched so much TV. Night Court. I loved Night Court. TJ wrote Night Court because it was so different and subversive for its time. And you're right, I really liked Night Court because it was so quirky. There's a new show, not a new show, but there's a show, it's coming back. It is Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and this is like right now. If you have never watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine, you need to watch the show. I feel like that's kind of like the Night Court of now. It is so different and quirky and silly and goofy and hilarious. It's got like Andy Samberg and Terry Crews and a bunch of other people, but I mean it's so different and it's just my husband doesn't get it. Like he's kind of like, why do you watch this show? I was like, I love this show because I'm kind of goofy and weird, and so I like goofy and weird stuff. So anyway, they were on, I think, was it Fox or I can't even remember what channel they were on for like a few years, and then they went away. They went away for like you know how you have this favorite show and then they just disappear? It's like what happened? I don't know what happened, but now they're back on NBC. Like, NBC bought the show. They were gone for like 2 years. I'm not kidding. They were gone for like a year or 2 years. And I don't know if people complained or whatever, but they are back this week, Thursday. I have it recorded on my DVR. I'm so excited for Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I should get like a what do you call it? Like a payment for advertising their show, sponsorship or something, like commission, because I really loved Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Can I watch that with you?
Yeah, it's totally, there's nothing bad on that show. It's just a fun show, and it's in New York, so it's maybe from our trip to New York you kind of recognize some things. I don't know. So anyway, Andy Griffith. I did watch reruns of Andy Griffith. It's a little bit before my time, but I did watch a lot of reruns from that. It was a good show. Yes.
Barry says, I miss Firefly.
Firefly. You know what's funny is I really like, what's his name? Nathan Fillion. Isn't that's the guy? But I never watched it. And the funny thing is now that the show is over, I actually hear a lot about it because I follow Nathan Fillion on Instagram. He posts a lot of weird, quirky, kind of funky things. So I think it's funny. So, and I hear stuff about Firefly, so I'm like, oh, maybe I should go back and watch it. So anyway, so these are the shows that some of the people wrote in on Facebook. So if you think of some more shows, keep them coming. I'm going to look on here. So there's Growing Pains. Oh, Who's the Boss? Did anybody watch Who's the Boss? I loved Who's the Boss. Tony Danza. It's still like he was and you just could not wait for Tony Danza and the mom to get together. Like, you just, season after season, you're like, they've got to get together. And I think they finally did. But I loved Who's the Boss. That was a good show. I'm going to go down the line here. Oh, wait a minute. I'm just going to play something for you, and you must listen and tell me what you think about this show. I'm going to try to turn the volume up. Anybody? If you don't know this, I'll be very disappointed. Oh, it just said it. So, I'm a little embarrassed to say that Knight Rider was probably one of my favorite shows ever in the 80s. I loved David Hasselhoff. It is so embarrassing to say it. I can still sing the song in my head without this music. Like, I know it. Look at his hair. He's got this fluff. Can you even see it on the thing? Oh, okay. He's got this fluffy, like, fuzzy hair from the 80s. Okay, so I could listen to this for, oh, man, okay. So, Knight Rider was one of my favorite shows, and I love David Hasselhoff. And the funny thing is I went on, they have, what is it, like, Nick at Night or whatever, some TV Land or something where you can go back and play stuff. It is so funny because it is such a cheesy show. Like, if you go back and watch it, it is so cheesy. Like, it's like the acting is terrible and the scripts are horrible. But I don't care. I loved it. Yes, Emily.
Okay. Belinda says the Red Skeleton show.
Red Skeleton? I know who Red Skeleton. I didn't know he had a show. Okay.
Trina said Knight Rider.
Yes.
She
knew.
Barry said that and Airwolf.
Airwolf! I remember Airwolf. Yeah. I'm trying to pull up another thing, but it's not letting me pull it
Cindy
up.
said yes.
Oh, Knight Rider is just, that was it.
Belinda said, and the Carol Burnett show.
Carol Burnett show. Did you guys, I wonder if you watched the Golden Globes, and Carol Burnett got the award for, the Carol Burnett Award, and so they had some of the flashbacks of her show, and I did watch some reruns of her show, and that was great comedy, just raw, funny, didn't have to be, inappropriate, it was just funny. So, and I Love Lucy was the same way. I would watch a lot of I Love Lucy reruns, and even Emily, she's 15 years old, and she watches I Love Lucy now. I mean, even, what is that, 50 years later, and we're still watching I Love Lucy, and it's still funny. Yes.
Okay. Scott
trying to pull stuff up.
Airwolf, and Scott also says Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, they still have Battlestar Galactica on TV, like on I can't remember what channel it was, but I was watching it the other day. I swear it was just, but again, it's so cheesy. Like, it's so what was the other show that I watched? A-Team. I was trying to pull up the theme song for A-Team because, you know, and the movie was good. Let's see if it comes up. Oh, it's got scores. It'll play after this. But the movie was good. Don't get me wrong. The movie was good. I liked it. But there's nothing like, you know, Mr. T and everybody. It was just. This is a long ad. skip ad. I want to play the theme to A-Team. I know it now. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, it's... Dun, 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 bum, ba-da-dum, bum. Okay, this is really sad because there is so much about government and like real history that I could not tell you, but I could probably sing almost every theme song from the 80s. I'm really embarrassed, but it's true. Yes, Emily.
Okay, Scott said Bob Newhart show.
Oh, I loved Bob Newhart. That was such a good show. Oh yes, I loved that the little bed and breakfast. Was it a bed and breakfast that they owned, like in New Hampshire or something, or Vermont? And oh, that was such a good show. And it was so funny, but it was like it wasn't weird or bad. It was just raw funny. Go ahead.
Then Mary said that's funny. What's funny about old sci-fi movies?
Oh man, they're so bad.
Is that they use the same special effects over and over.
Yeah, like the things that would blow up. It's so cheesy.
And then Scott said Riptide.
I don't ever watch Riptide.
What I think is funny is Barry and Scott are the only people saying that.
Well, that's okay because we like talking about our old shows. I'm trying to think what other cool old shows. Simon and Simon. I actually don't remember the theme song to Simon and Simon, but I bet if I pulled it up and I listened to it, it would just click, you know? There was some other shows that, like that TV Land is great because you could watch a lot of cool old... Oh! MacGyver. I did like MacGyver. That was a little bit later, though. That was kind of 90s, I think. I think MacGyver was 90s. And then, you know what other show that I really loved that nobody's mentioned? One of my favorite shows ever, Quantum Leap. Did anybody else watch Quantum Leap? Scott Bakula? That was the best show ever. Yes, Emily?
Nicole says, even though they stopped making new ones for about 4 years before I was born, I loved and still do love Full House and any early 2000s Disney show.
Full House was a good show. Some of it was corny, like cut it out. Like that was kind of corny kind of stuff. But at the time, it was a good show. You know, a couple years ago, when was it? 3 years ago, we went to California, to San Francisco, and me and the girls, we went down to where the Painted Ladies, I think that's what they're called, the Painted Ladies, the houses that go down the street right there, and they're all pretty houses. It's just like one block that has those real pretty, and we took pictures there and stuff, and that was really fun. And you know, when you go there, that's why you go. It's because that's the Full House, you know, that's the opening scene from Full House, so that's why you go there. So I'm trying to think, huh?
That's why we went.
That's
why we went, because they were pretty.
That's why I went. Yeah, you didn't know that's why we went, but that's totally why we went. Let's go do some more. What else we got? Alf. Does anybody remember Alf? Like, didn't he like to eat cats? It's the stupidest show. It's the dumbest. Is it Jim Henson? I think it was Jim. Oh, and Fraggle Rock. I used to love Fraggle Rock because we had cable for a little while, and Fraggle Rock came on HBO, I think. I think it was HBO. But yeah, Alf. Oh my gosh. It's fun. When you watch Alf, like now, you think, why was this a good show? Like, why did anybody watch this show? But it was such a great show. So yeah, I loved Alf. Actually, this is how silly it was when my friends and I, the theme song or the opening song or whatever, we actually made a song about Alf. Like, we made our own song, and we would sing it at school about Alf. That's how much we liked Alf. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. Go ahead, Emily.
Nicole said, visiting the Full House is on my bucket list.
Oh yeah! It's really not a great neighborhood, just so you know. Like, when we went, well, they were renovating, so it was a lot of construction when we went there. So I think they're trying to make it revitalize the neighborhood, because it's really kind of like a sketchy, not sketchy, but not the best neighborhood.
Gina and Belinda said that they both loved Alf.
Alf, yeah, that's crazy. When I look back at all these shows, I was like, oh my gosh. Of course, the Brady Bunch, Mork and Mindy, A-Team. No. Oh, what's that show? Hold on. Oh, I can't remember the name of it. It's the Punky Brewster. I love Punky Brewster. That was one of my favorites. I loved Punky. Did anybody else watch Punky Brewster? I wanted to be Punky Brewster. I can't remember how old I was, but I'll never forget the episode where they were playing hide and seek and then somebody hid in the refrigerator and almost died. And that was like terrified me for the rest of my life to never get stuck in a refrigerator. But that was from Punky Brewster. I wanted to be Punky Brewster. Soleil Moonfry, that was her name. This is really sad. I could not mention to you, I don't know who's in the Senate of the United States of America, but I know Soleil Moonfry was Punky Brewster in the 80s. But apparently she does some stuff now, some TV shows and stuff now. She's really beautiful. She grew up to be really pretty. Yes, Emily.
Trina said Alf Pogs. Remember those?
Alf Pogs. No, but I remember Pogs, and I remember Alf. but I wonder if Alf and Pog, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm remembering the same thing you're remembering. Oh, there's a picture of Punky Brewster. It just popped up in my head. That is so funny. Let's see. What else are we seeing? Oh, did anybody else see Max Headroom? Wasn't that a show? Max Headroom. Dude, Emily's looking at me like I'm crazy. But Max Headroom was a thing. It was like this, it was back when computers like started coming out, and there was like he was this kind of cartoon computer generated guy, and he would like blip, 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 like that. Like he would short circuit kind of weird, in a weird way. It was on Back to the Future. If you watch Back to the Future, the second one where he goes to the future, and there's like when he goes to the 80s cafe, or wait, no, he goes to the future, and then the 80s cafe is that's very confusing to explain this. But anyway, they had a Max...
to 2015, they have an 80s cafe.
Yes! Okay, thank you, yes. But they had a Max Headroom in there in the cafe, because Max Headroom was part of the 80s. So does anybody else remember Max Headroom? Am I like... I'm really, after doing this podcast, I'm slightly ashamed at how much TV I watched as a kid. Way too much TV. Oh, Moonlighting. Did anybody else watch Moonlighting? Oh my gosh, that was Bruce Willis when at his best. I was actually watching it the other day. I still watch way too much TV. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. I did not know that this show was going to go in this direction of showing how pathetic Pam Jones is. But Moonlighting, I was just watching the other day, and oh, Bruce Willis, he was a good, I mean, he's still good looking as an older guy, but he was a good looking young man. Yes.
Scott says, cheers.
Cheers. I used to play the Cheers theme on the piano, so I actually know the keys to the Cheers theme. And I can hear this theme song in my head, but I am not going to try to sing it because I can't remember all the words, but something about where everybody knows your name. That's what, yeah. This is really, I think I need to have an intervention. Yes.
I think you and Scott need to hang out.
Yeah, me and Scott need to hang out and talk about our, apparently he didn't have a lot of family either. Different Strokes. That was the best show. That was such a great show, except for when they started having those later on episodes, they started having those like it's a comedy, but then they would have like shows, or they would have episodes that would be like tell a dramatic story about something or about like drugs or something. It was like, no, come on, it's a comedy, entertain me. It was, but that was a good show. I liked Different Strokes.
He also says Silver Spoon.
Yeah, Silver Spoons, where they had the train that went through his living room. I loved the train. And that's where Alfonso Rivero, Emily, that's where he started. He was friends with Ricky Schroeder, which he's now Rick Schroeder because he's older. But Ricky Schroeder grew up to be Captain Call's son, Newt, in Lonesome Dove. Oh my gosh, this is so bad. This is like addiction. This show is this show is basically showing the whole world that Pam has an addictive personality and it's television. Go ahead, Emily.
Okay. He also says chips.
Chips. All I can think about Chips is woo woo woo. That's like the song. But I was actually just looking at something the other day. Oh, did you know? Now I don't know the name of the guy, but not Paunch, the white guy. His son is Chris Pine. I did not know that. Chris Pine was doing a thing at the Golden Globes he was introducing, and I think Chris Pine, he's a good-looking guy, and I'm like, and he's talking about how, hey, yeah, my dad was an actor too, and I'm like, oh, who's his actor? So I just looked it up like 2 days ago at the Golden Globes, and, I wasn't at the Golden Globes, I was watching, he said, anyway, and I looked it up, and I was like, oh my gosh, the guy from Chips is Chris Pine's dad. I had no idea. Yes, Emily.
All right, Nicole says, if you've done one of her favorite shows...
Which was? What?
If you've done one of her favorite shows now, that'd be embarrassing to me. I binge way too much Netflix.
Oh yeah, I don't watch a lot of Netflix because I don't have good internet service, so I don't watch a ton of. I get Netflix movies delivered to my house, like the actual CD, the Blu-rays, but I don't do a lot of streaming. Although on the airplane, I watched The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, the first two Maisel, not Mavel. I watched the first 2 episodes, and it was really good. So I kind of want to watch the rest of them because they won a bunch of Golden Globes or were nominated. But I have to figure out a way to watch them without using up all my internet. Maybe I'll go somewhere in like Wi-Fi or something. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Scott said.
Scott, he's like my TV buddy now.
The Fall Guy.
Oh! I loved the Fall Guy. That's the $5 Million Man, isn't it? It's the same guy. I think it's the same guy, or if not, but I had a crush on both of those guys. $1 Million Man, or what was it? $1 Million Man? I'm trying to remember his name. 5 million. Isn't it the? 6 million, not the $5 million, the $6 million man. that's Lee Horsley. Wasn't that the same as the Fall Guy? And so he was the Fall Guy. He was basically a stuntman for movies, but then he would also do like, you know, private investigator type stuff. So I like him.
He said that John Baker was played by Larry Wilcox. I don't know.
John Baker was played by, I have no idea what that's from. What is it in reference to? Does it say?
Nothing.
Oh, well, you probably can't scroll up and see what it was. I'm trying to think. Knight Rider. There was another show. There was a guy on a motorcycle, and he did a lot of like undercover work. I can't remember the name of the show, but he had this motorcycle, and he would drive up in his motorcycle, just like kind of like Knight Rider. He would drive up his motorcycle into this 16-wheeler, or no, 18-wheeler, and he would drive up. I can't remember the name of the show. It was a good show though. And I did like the first season of Baywatch. Until it started getting kind of boobyish, I really liked the first season of Baywatch. I kind of did. Because I liked the guy, well, of course I like David Hasselhoff, but I liked the other guy too. Oh my gosh, we're out of time. Okay, one more comment.
He said it's from Chips.
Oh, okay, it's from Chips. Okay. I feel like this show lasted like 30 seconds. I could talk for, I scrolled down just 2 scrolls. I could scroll down and talk about TV all day long. Maybe we'll have to do like an episode 2 of this show, because I had so much fun talking about my favorite shows growing up and your favorite shows growing up. I just realized that I have way too much information about actors and television and movies. We got to talk about movies one day, because we talked about TV shows today mostly. So we'll talk about movies one day, and that'll be a whole other thing, because I went to film school too. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me, everybody, and we'll be back next Tuesday. I don't have a topic yet, but I will write it up on Facebook. And so thanks. How many people did we have, Emily?
Hold on 1 second.
What? Quick, we're out of time.
Tiffany said a dirty word.
Well, don't repeat it.
I'm not.
Okay.
But I'm just... No.
Language. How many people did we have today with us?
I think the highest was 18.
Like 18? That's
think
pretty
so.
good. Thanks, guys.
Oh,
Thanks.
and Scott said that it was Street Hawk with the motorcycle.
Street Hawk? I just remember there was one good. Oh, and there was that one with Gary Cole. He was the talk show host that would Midnight Caller. That was another show I like. Okay, I gotta go. You gotta cut me off. Bye, everybody.